Hey everyone, it's Types. Today I'm super excited to be taking a look at Chaos Rising here today and the presumable pre-release promos. I suppose we are not sure of this at this time, but it looks like these are going to be the pre-release promos, which is really interesting to see. If you're not familiar, pre-release format is a format which, unsurprisingly, is before the release of the actual set, Chaos Rising. Again, this is Chaos Rising, the international expansion. This is the second main expansion of the year. Looking at the expansions, we have wait, I guess Perfect Order isn't here on Limitless. I mean, it's not out yet. But we had Ascendant Heroes, the mini set, then we had Perfect Order, the first main set of the year, which had pre-releases but is not officially out yet. And then we have Chaos Rising. But Chaos Rising is predominantly made up of the expansion Ninja Spinner in Japan. So we look at Japan here, we see the first set of the year is Nile Zero, which is Perfect Order, essentially, and the second set is Ninja Spinner, which is Chaos Rising. You see the starter decks, 100 Battle Collection, as well as Mega Dream EX released last year in Japan, making up the bulk of Ascended Heroes there. So, anyways, this is the second set of the year, and this is the pre-release format where this is as early as 2 weeks before. It's usually 2 weeks, though. It could be 1 week before the set releases, and you go to pre-release events. These are relatively casual. I'd actually highly recommend them for new players. If you're someone who doesn't play in person, I'd highly recommend them just to try it out. It's really fun and pretty casual there. But anyways, you get a 40 card kit, I guess. You get the kit, which contains a 40 card deck and then 4 packs. Each 40 card deck is highlighted by one pre-release promo, and the deck is built around that. And these are the 4 cards we see here: the Crobat, the Goodra, the Ampharos, and the Delphox. Apparently, these were revealed before. I don't actually remember seeing these. I know the cards, but I don't remember seeing these arts. I'm probably just like missed it. But ultimately, we see these 4 cards here being the pre-release promos, which is actually really interesting. If you're not familiar, the ones for Perfect Order, they're probably not here, are they? Oh, this is, yeah, no, that's not it. Well, the 4 were, it was the Tyrantrum, the Barbaracle, the Doublade, and the Superior were the 4. In regards to that pre-release, the one kit, the Tyrantrum kit, was actually, I'd say, a bit problematic because you mulligan a lot. If you went to pre-release, a pre-release event, I imagine you had a lot of mulligans, which is not so good because it like kind of slows things down. There are a lot of mulligans. We had to do multiple judge mulligans, which is over 8. Then you can call over a judge, and then they mulligan for you, and they do it like a different way so that it speeds things up, so you're not mulliganing there for a super long time. But anyways, so that was a thing. We don't see that here, which I think is good. But all 4 decks are stage 2s, which is interesting, and we're going to talk about that. But we're also going to talk about what the cards do. So we got Delphox here. Delphox has the ability Flare Magic, letting you discard a basic fire from your hand to draw till you have 7 cards in hand. Then you can do for 2 fire, 30 fruit energy attached to all Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponents. And it's not just active, it's not just bench, it's not just yours, not just your opponents, it's, all the Pokemon there. We've got Ampharos here. Ampharos is obviously another stage 2. All these have similar HPs. 3 of them have 160, Crobat has 130 here, but Ampharos is obviously stage 1. If you have the same amount of cards in hand as your opponent, you do 80 more, and then you do 140 for 2 here, and cannot use Flash Bolt, which is your only attack here next turn. I will mention there's a cool Relicanth combo you can do with Ampharos with the Flaffy, which actually item locks for 2 on a stage 1 doing 40, something like that. I guess I should probably look at that, right? To double check, I'll check on Limitless here. The Marie, or no, the Flaffy does 40, yeah, and item locks for 2 here. So that is the thing. I guess I'll mention item lock at pre-release usually isn't a huge deal, but figured it's worth mentioning there. But presumably you can't do that with Relicanth because Relicanth's not in the set. And well, it could be in the pre-release kit. It wasn't for the Tyrantrum one, which I think makes more sense thematically for various reasons. But we have Ampharos there with them. We got Crobat. Crobat's actually really cool with this ability. Once on your turn, if it's in the active, you can search your deck for card, reveal it, or not reveal it. You just search for any card, so you don't need to reveal it. Then you put it on top of your deck, and then you can draw it potentially immediately. We'll see if that actually ends up happening, but then you can certainly draw it next turn, and you do 80 for Wind Darkness and Confuse and Poison, which is pretty good there. The stage 1 also has an attack that I think it stops but basics attacking, or maybe it's immune to basics. What to do? Yeah, it's immune to basics. So that's interesting, though these are all stage 2 kits here, presumably built around the stage 2. The previous pre-release, we saw the Barbaracle kit, which was a stage 1 built around, I'd say, Landorus. I mean, Barbaracle was important, but the main attacker was Landorus there. So theoretically, that could happen, but I'm not super sure if that'll happen. I'll take a look at the rest of the set, though, and kind of break that down in what I think will be in the kits. Then we got Gudra, though. Gudra has the ability Slimy Slip, saying if your opponent tries to retreat, they flip a coin. If tails, they don't. They don't discard the energy. This in pre-release is probably not good because how often are they going to be retreating, right? I suppose it's good with Crobat, but if you don't know, you get one of the 4 promos, and you're gonna get one kit. You're not getting like 2 halves. That's how it used to work, but that's not how it works anymore. And so pretty much you are not playing these together, right? So the fact that they have some synergy, even if it's not like great synergy, but they have some synergy, doesn't really matter. And then for Water Psychic, do 160 and discard the top card of your deck. Discarding the top card of your deck is a minor downside, and then 160 for 2 is pretty good. You can look at the other ones here. Delphox is probably hitting somewhere in that range, but probably a little lower. If I had to guess, though, it'll probably depend some. I will also mention if you're playing with, or specifically if you're playing against Delphox, and if you're in the mirror, that's going to be really interesting. You want to not commit too much energy to your board in the mirror. I don't know exactly how you want to go about that, but you want to be able to ultimately take knockouts, right, and have your opponent not take knockouts, and that's just generally true, right? So don't overcommit too much energy against the Delphox deck. With Airfrost, the hand size stuff is also interesting because you're going to be playing around that. With Delphox, actually against Ampharos, you have a draw ability there. I ultimately don't think this draw ability is super good. I think in pre-release it's also not super good because it's on a stage 2 and it's not, it's a little inconsistent. You need your energies. You're only playing so many energies. You're running a decent amount, but you might have more turns in the game and less draw in general. So the ability is kind of meh. Same thing with Crobat. It's a little slow for just in general. It's kind of slow, though I do think the ability is good. I mean, that's really the reason to play the card. Then with Poison Soundwave, I will say Confusion and Poison is decent. You're doing 80, 90 essentially. Or if they don't retreat, they're going to be pretty incentivized to retreat because they don't want to take the poison damage. They don't want to attack through Confusion, right? So that is something to note there. And with Crobat, you can set up for trying to not have the same size as Ampharos as well, doing things to set up your next turn to allow you to increase or decrease your hand size with a deck trying to match hand size, because I've played a good amount of them and they're super fun. They're not super good. You obviously need to be able to match hand size. I do imagine we will see Judge in the kit to match hand sizes. I'd be pretty surprised if that's not there, and that will allow you to match hand sizes if you don't play any cards. Look at the other cards. What, maybe Emma would be in the kit? That would make sense. You look at your opponent's hand, draw a card for each pick when you find there. It interacts with their hand, it draws cards, so I think that would make sense. I think Emma's also good for the Crobat kit, just in general, because you need regular draw. In the past pre-releases, sometimes you don't really see regular draw. Sometimes you just see shuffle draw, and with shuffle draw, you're not going to draw the card you put on top with Crobat, which is kind of bad. So if you're looking for a regular draw, Emma provides that. The other trainers in the set, I guess Prism Tower also provides that. So, that's something that is definitely interesting. You discard two to draw 1. I suppose Prism Tower with Delphox is also interesting. I think Delphox has seen a little bit of play in Japan. I suppose I should talk about which of these is the best in Standard, because presumably you'll be, getting these cards to hopefully play a cool Standard deck after. Let me find the 4 promos here. I don't know how much play each of them have seen. I imagine Gudra has seen not any play. Yeah. I imagine Ampharos has seen maybe a tiny bit or not any. Okay, yeah. And then Delphox, has that seen any play? No. Has Crobat seen any play? No. Okay. Wait. Some of these cards have seen play, right? Like Mega Ninja. I'm pretty sure they're legal, right? Yeah. Okay. So none of the 4 promos have really seen any play in top 16 of City League tournaments. There are some smaller tournaments that they have seen play in. Specifically Delphox a little, I think. Maybe Ampharos, as I mentioned, with Relicanth. And yeah, the cards are kind of mediocre. In terms of cards that would be a better fit, I'm looking through the set. It would be funny if all 4 were Deoxys. That would be kind of stupid, but that'd be funny. And yeah, I guess another good single prizer. You have Patrat. Patrat is very good. I suppose this is a card. It's a decent card. It's a card that's been seeing some play in Japan, and it is probably one of the better cards to pull from the set. In terms of another powerful card, which you also want to be watching out for, there's going to be Special Red Card. Special Red Card is very good in Standard. It is by far the best card in the set. It's seen a bunch of play in Japan already because it's very good. But you can only use this if your opponent has 3 or fewer prizes remaining. So for most of the game in Standard, you can't play this. But then your opponent shuffles their hand, puts it on the bottom, draws 3. This is very important to keep an eye out for in pre-release because your opponent will be, having hand disruption. It's good to know that. Obviously in Standard, they could hand disrupt you. In pre-release, it's good to know. Like the last one, your opponent could have pulled Judge, but this is definitely a card your opponent could pull as well. This is not a pre-release guide, so I'm not going to go over all this stuff like I did with my last pre-release guide, which people really enjoyed. So thanks so much for that. And also make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the full pre-release guide for this next set when that's a bit closer. Oh, the set's releasing it's out in Japan. It just released in Japan, but internationally it's releasing in May. May. Yeah, May 22nd. There we go. So it's releasing May 22nd. So pre-releases will be the 2 weeks before that. I don't know what day the 22nd is. Is that Friday? I don't know. But anyways, so we got. Oh, also I am sick, so sorry about that. But it is interesting with the types as well. Last time, I keep talking about the last release, the types were like there's so much weakness and resistance. Or there's a bunch. Here we see weakness on Crobat with Ampharos, which doesn't really matter that much. It matters just a little, because you're one-shotting it anyways. Ampharos also can't attack back to back. That's like kind of bad. Actually, Goodra will be good against Ampharos for that reason. Looking at other cards that could be part of their lines. What's Emolga even do? Is this energy acceleration? No. So, but maybe Emolga will be in the Ampharos kit, though it's not super good. Maybe we will see something darkness in the Crobat kit, like this this Quillfish, maybe? I don't know. It has some blue synergy, I guess, with like poison there. Then with Delphox, there's Oh, maybe. Um, yeah, I don't know. That doesn't like seem like a great synergy there. And then you have with the Gudra, something water psychic, maybe one of the Deoxys. That would make sense. Maybe like some of the water Pokemon. Also, by the way, this card's super cool in this set. Delibird, I'm sure people are going to play as a pre-release some. It's like super cool. Each player can attach when you attack. So each player, both you and your opponent, can attach up to 3 basic energy from your hand to your Pokemon in a way you like. Really fun card. Is it good? Honestly, wait 1 second. Let's look at Pokemon proxies, and I want to see something. Did this get mistranslated? So yeah, here it says energy, and I believe Pokebeach said energy as well, and then here it says basic energy. So someone tell me in the comment section if you know what the correct translation is, because if I thought it was special energy, which is cool. It doesn't matter for here really. There are some special energies, but they're kind of meh. I suppose you'll probably find the fire one in the fire pre-release kit, and maybe you'll find the water one in the Gudra. I don't know. It's not super meaningful because it doesn't really do anything there. I would guess the water one does stop special conditions, which is good against Crobat if you're playing water, which presumably you're not playing water. That doesn't really make any sense, but if you were, then that will stop the Crobat there, kind of. But anyways, the Delibird, someone tell me in the comment section what this actually does, because I'd really be interested in knowing. But ultimately, these are pretty interesting. All being stage 2s obviously means it's going to be a little slower and more telegraphed. There's, maybe Rare Candy, and that's probably, I think, the only Pokemon acceleration in the format here. I don't think any of these Pokemon evolve faster. Well, okay, I think the Phantom evolves faster, but that doesn't count. I don't think there's anything letting these evolve faster. Someone tell me in the comment section, though, again, if I did miss something there. Ultimately, though, the set I think is interesting for the pre-release environment, and these are interesting promos. They do some interesting things. They're not the craziest or most in-depth cards, but they definitely have interesting interactions between players. But tell me in the comment section what your thoughts are on this. But I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell, and comment down below your thoughts. But I hope you enjoyed. As always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.